for Amy and Mary. We'll start with Mary this time. Do either of you oppose the partial payment law that was passed?
The partial payment law bill has become law, and so I'm not going to oppose it. It is something that we'll now have to work within the county treasurer's office to figure out how it's all going to happen. I think that's the piece that I'm concerned about is, you know, the software and what it's going to do to the staffing and all of that. So I'm not opposed to it. It's part of the law now, and so now we need to figure out how to make it the most effective means.
Absolutely. I uphold the law of the land. Of course, I think the partial payment bill makes a lot of sense for our citizens of Spokane County. However, I'm really happy that it was passed in the way that the state legislature approved it, rather than in the way that our incumbent proposed, because he not only wanted to allow people to make partial payments, but wanted to reduce the penalties and interest associated with being late in your property taxes. Let's be clear what that does to the rest of us. If we have a neighbor who's not making their obligations, not meeting their responsibilities, that means we carry the load. We, the responsible members of the community, help subsidize that. So let's be clear that we want to make sure we keep our property tax collection rate higher, as high as it currently is, as one of the highest in the state, and let's make sure that we do help our citizens when they need it.
Yeah, Amy's right. That wasn't one thing lacking in this bill, was they kept the payments in there, but the interest rate's still 12%. That's punitive enough for someone who's gotten behind. And most people don't get behind because they're malicious. They get behind because of life circumstances. So I think, you know, government needs to serve people, like I say, not gouge them. Throwing these penalties on is like throwing an anchor to a drowning person. We're not there to do that. We're there to help people. And if you go to the state treasurer's website, it says, what is usury? Anything above 12%. So why do we have these taxes, these other penalties that throw another 11% per year on top of it, so they're paying 23%? There's another law that says this usury law is applied to everything except property taxes. And you know, you really never, when you're paying property taxes, you know, we think we own our homes, we think we have the freedom to own our homes, but we don't, you know. You stop paying your property taxes, you find out really you don't own your home. And this really didn't start until about 1982 when interest rates were so high, because people stopped paying their property taxes and were investing, the rich people were investing in high yield bonds. And that did interrupt the cash flow to the counties and the districts, so then they threw these huge penalties. Well, now interest rates are almost nothing. You know, this should have been done a long time ago by Skip Schilberg or Linda Wolverton or any of the other county treasurers. And, you know, I think it's one way we did get it passed is we made it contingent. It's up to the county treasurer. If the other counties say they don't want to do it, that's fine, but I wanted this for the citizens, the residents of Spokane County.
Our next question here, we'll start with Rob. Our group here was formed as an action-oriented organization. What ways have you worked to further your political beliefs by assisting on campaigns, helping candidates, or being involved with a local party?
Well, about the mid-90s, the time I got the internet, I suddenly started realizing, oh, there's a lot of stuff here I never learned in civics class. There's a lot of stuff here I never heard on the mainstream media, and I actually got kind of upset, you know. Why did my father have 6 kids? My mom didn't have to work, but we had 2 kids. We both worked. We're living paycheck to paycheck, and I realized it was taxes and inflation. And I felt like I needed to do something. I always thought politics was something other people did. I always thought you had to be a lawyer or something to do politics. Well, then I ran myself. You know, I ran against Bob McCaslin out in the valley. I ran against George Nethercutt, and each time I got 5%. At least I made a statement. Even before that, between that, after that, I went out on other people's campaigns and doorbelled for them. I doorbelled for Matt Shea, Mike Fagan, Jeff Boley, John Ahern, any number of candidates, Republican candidates that we put forward. I went out, and one of the things I hate worse than anything is sign waving, but I've gone out there and waved signs in the rain and all that, because I really care about changing this country around too. And plus I've donated probably, you know, a ton of money that I didn't have into campaigns of people I thought were good.
freely, I acknowledge that I'm on the other side of the political spectrum, but I too have been a grassroots activist since roughly 2004. Yes, I was elected as a PCO, well, first appointed as a PCO and then elected. Remember leading caucuses back when our little boys were that tall. Boys who now doorbell with me. I've worked on several campaigns at the federal, state, and local levels. Managed some, volunteered for some, was the chair of the Spokane County Democratic Party for 2009 and 10. And I just believe it's important for all of us, no matter where we sit, no matter what it is we do, we do as much as we can when we can. And I'm so glad to see this room full of activists, because we're the ones who make a difference. We're the ones who educate ourselves on the candidates and the issues, and we're the ones who talk to our friends and neighbors and remind them it's important to vote.
So I'm a current PCO out in the Valley. I've spent 4 years as the chair for the Internal Audit Committee of City of Spokane. That was an appointed position. Have worked on several campaigns. I was the treasurer for 2 of the campaigns for Al French when he was running for city council and I believe council president. And my sister and I doorbelled for Al a lot during those times. Those are the activisms that I have had, currently, as well as my husband and I, his family business is a construction business, so we're very involved in transportation funding. It's something that is, part of, as a highway contractor, you're paying attention to that, and there's a lot of lobbying that goes on, with that. We contribute to a lot of campaigns. And then my 10 years with the State Auditor's Office. I mean, that's actually working in government. And when you're doing that, you're in all these different little governments. And you're seeing a lot of good elected officials, a lot of bad elected officials, and you start to kind of form your own opinions as to how you can then go out and make